The ground is crumbling below the feet of Gary Gensler and the SEC. We have a lawyer who helped Senator Lummis and Gillibrand craft their crypto bill, which was released last week. He's coming out and saying that the SEC has it all wrong. XRP is not a security. He gave kudos to John Deaton and his work on behalf of XRP holders. So I want to play the clip for you guys. Also, Rosalind Layton put out an article in Forbes highlighting the 4-year anniversary of Bill Hinman's speech, which of course littered with conflicts of interest around giving Ethereum the free pass, and further exposing Jay Clayton, Gary Gensler, and Bill Hinman. Also, there seems to be some verbiage in a recent response from the SEC, and it appears they're looking at our tweets, our videos, and what we're saying on social media, essentially. And I have one attorney who's weighing in on this. This is interesting. And remember, we've been talking about it. Keep the pressure on, right? And this comes amidst like a lot of people leaving the SEC. So there's a lot of bad PR happening here for Gensler. So we're going to break this down to much more. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and leave a comment below. Also, if you're listening on a podcast platform, please give me a 5-star rating. Quick word from our sponsor, and that is Link2, which makes private equity investment easy. Link2 allows you to double dip, just like the VC firms, the investment firms, the hedge funds. You can buy the tokens, which many of you have already. Also invest into the companies building the infrastructure of the crypto market, whether it be an exchange or a payments company or whatever it may be. This opportunity did not exist before. You had to be part of a big firm, guys. Well, Link2 is democratizing that process, allowing accredited investors to invest into crypto companies and tech companies. Some of the crypto companies they have in their portfolio are Ripple, Uphold, BitPay, Dapper Labs, Abra, and they continue to add to their list. So great opportunity, once again, guys, to double dip and make money on both sides. We saw many of these big firms made money off of the Coinbase IPO. So imagine if Ripple were the IPO, Uphold was the IPO, and you were holding equity, pre-IPO, you got a great opportunity. So big opportunity here. I am a client. I am buying. So just letting you guys know, and you can check out Link2, link in the description. Now, let's talk about some quick updates before we get into the SEC Ripple news. The Fed today increased interest rates by 75 basis points. And this is the biggest rate hike since 1994. So you may say, Tony, this is a crypto podcast. Why are you talking about the Fed? Well, we've seen high correlation between the stock market and crypto. Also, what the Fed is doing is affecting all markets because people are now not going to be able to invest as much, right? And there's bear markets forming everywhere for the stock market, for the real estate market, for crypto, of course. So it's important to watch what's happening. Now, as I've been talking about, this will continue until they get inflation under control, and then they're going to reverse. We've seen it time and time again. They're right now doing quantitative tightening, and they will go back to QE, quantitative easing, and that could be later this year. So right now, be patient. Let's wait to see where the bottom forms. I'm buying in small chunks because the price could go further down. So you want to buy the lows, and then we'll sell the highs when the bear market is over and we go back into a bull market. Of course, you can swing trade, right? You can make a nice maybe 20, 25%. Or if you're a long-term holder like me, just be patient. You're doing a long-term investment, right? Now, this is not financial advice. You should do your own research. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. So big update here, and let's hope all of inflation comes under control with this rate hike, and the Fed can go back to business as usual and asset prices go up. So Barry Silbert, who is the founder of Grayscale and of course Digital Currency Group, he shared some sentiments here, which I absolutely agree with. He said, "We've seen a number of down cycles in crypto before, and while they're never easy, this is a period of opportunity. I'm encouraged by the close collaboration we're seeing this week and believe the industry will emerge stronger than ever." So it's all market cycles playing out. These guys have seen it. They're looking at the market macro level, and they're just building. And those who planned ahead for the bear market are in a good position. The other major update, my friends, because Celsius is all the talk right now because they lock down withdrawals and swaps, and it's not looking very good. I don't have anything on Celsius, so I'm okay. If I you guys, I would try to see if you what you can do here. Keep complaining, keep calling, whatever it may be. But the funny thing is, Tether, they said they were able to liquidate their Celsius position with no losses. So maybe the whales are being able to do their things first, but the retail is not, which really sucks. Hopefully there's regulations around these things moving forward, not to kill these businesses, because I think crypto lending is a big part of the future and being able to earn yield and interest on your crypto, but they have to have the regulations, right? Maybe that's 30-day audits where they show what's on their balance sheet to the government, right? To just make sure everything's running smoothly. But big update here that you guys should know about. All right, let's jump into the SEC RIpple XRP news. Shout out to Rosalind Layton, always penning some great articles on Forbes, and she continues to call out the SEC's hypocrisy. She wrote an article titled "The SEC's Crypto Bait and Switch and Investors' Loss of $15 billion." She tweeted out, Judge Netburn may order the SEC to provide the internal documents on Hinman's infamous speech. This could expose the SEC's market deception and force a settlement with Ripple. Guys, the ground below the SEC right now is crumbling. And I'm not saying this because I'm biased because I hold XRP, guys. You're just seeing departures. We're seeing pressure from members of Congress, Tom Emmer and his group, and many others, right? The Lummis Gillibrand bill is pulling more power away from the SEC and giving it to the CFTC. And retail investors are angry at Gensler, not to mention people in the crypto industry are angry, right? And they're lobbying now against the SEC. So obviously, I'm not going to read through the article from Rosalind, but I highly recommend you guys read it. It's very good, and it's kind of highlighting this is the 4-year anniversary of Bill Hinman's speech and the free pass he gave to Ethereum, and obviously littered with conflicts of interest. Right, we've covered that ad nauseum, and she, of course, exposes Gary Gensler, Jay Clayton, and Hinman, and what they did with XRP, and all the just hypocrisy and nonsense, right? So I love this. I love the pressure that's being put out there. And trust me when I tell you, the SEC doesn't like this. They don't like this type of coverage and what's being said. And once again, that's part of, I think, why a lot of people are departing under Gary Gensler, and they don't want to work with him because his agenda is not fair. It's obviously littered with hypocrisy. He's not providing clear regulations. He wants to do regulation by enforcement. Now, John Deaton weighed in on Rosalind's article. He pulled out an excerpt here, and here's what it is. Worse yet, the SEC made the mind-boggling allegation that everyone should have known XRP was a security since 2013 when its network debuted. That would include Hinman and all the SEC staffers who helped him write his 2018 speech, one would presume. And, John put a target sign here, like this is spot on, right? And I love this, guys, calling out the SEC. Now, attorney Lewis Cohen, who helped shape the Senator Lummis and Gillibrand crypto bill, which was released last week, states that the SEC already acknowledged that XRP was not a security despite what Gary Gensler says now. Also gives a nod to John Deaton. Let me play the clip here for you guys. He was interviewed by Laura Shin, and this was a recent interview.
So you say it so clearly as if it's very well established that tokens like ETH and Aave or whatever these other assets are clearly not securities. But the chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, has made some noise in the other direction, and he doesn't, I think, view these things as so clear cut. So what makes you so certain, and how would you respond to some of his statements where he seems to think that actually the vast majority of digital assets are securities?
Sure. We have a long promised paper. If you followed me on Twitter, we analyzed all 259, I believe it is, appellate cases involving the Howey test since its inception, every single one of the investment contract cases. And based on that in-depth longitudinal review, I can say with confidence that there's nothing in the case law that supports the idea that an asset that's recognized as not a security should be hypothetically treated as security when it's traded between people who are not otherwise involved in the transaction. Like you and me buying assets on Gemini, or just trading amongst ourselves, or using a decentralized exchange. Moreover, we have the SEC's own words. You may be familiar, if you follow the whole Ripple saga, that a group of disgruntled XRP holders attempted to intervene in the Ripple case as defendants, which is kind of an unlikely thing. And in doing so, they filed a motion with the court in the Ripple action, and the SEC responded. And on page 24 of that response, the SEC acknowledged that the XRP token is not in itself a security. And it said, well, similar to the Gram token in Telegram, it's not a security, but it's the embodiment of an investment contract. And so I think there the SEC kind of put their cards on the table. The problem with the statement on page 24 is it doesn't have a footnote, and there's no case law support, because it's really a novel theory. And it's well within the SEC's rights to advocate for novel theories that an asset that is not a security can somehow embody a scheme. But that's not something that has been adopted by any appellate court, and it's one that presents.
So as you can see there, guys, he's calling out the SEC and their BS, right? It goes back to what Hester Peirce told me in the interview, as she's commissioner of the SEC, of course, that it's not the oranges. It wasn't the oranges and the orange grove. It was how it was packaged and sold, right? Or I shouldn't say sold, I guess, how that investment pitch was made. So it's not XRP's a security. That's ridiculous, especially in the secondary market on a global blockchain network. That's ridiculous. That's asinine. But if you said, hey, the way Ripple sold some XRP back in 2013 and 2015, that is a security. Okay, well, yeah, they should pay a fine for that. But you can't say today's XRP security. That is nonsense. And he's calling that out here. And this applies to other cryptos as well. So as you can see, the folks in the legal industry are just calling out this BS. And what's interesting is this guy helped in crafting and shaping the Loomis-Gillibrand bill. So we're going to the level of Congress. That is not good for Gensler. When you have people in the legal community helping government to put together regulations, and Gary Gensler and the SEC are doing the complete opposite, and all this nonsense, right, guys? So really good stuff here. And once again, the pressure is mounting. It is building. Now, here's the other thing, guys. The SEC, and shout out to James K. Filan, he highlighted this. He said the SEC has filed under seal a redacted version of the brief, and its exhibits opposing the Misi motion to participate in the Daubert challenge. It's now up to District Judge Torres to decide what will be public and what will remain under seal. Now, attorney, let me pull his name here, attorney Fred Rispoli, he said the following regarding this. Also, the SEC motion is final proof that the SEC is monitoring all it can from the XRP community. For all the positive we have accomplished, you all should be very proud. John Deaton said the same at the end of his show today. Think of these or those implications. First, it means there is someone or a team at the SEC whose responsibility includes monitoring social media. That must be demoralizing to the few left of the SEC that believe in its mission to protect the public, to see the public stating how much the SEC has failed them in this case. Second, here's a lesson I tell all my clients. Before you communicate anything to anyone, ask yourself, how you would do explaining your planned comment to a judge in court, because there is always a second chance you might have to one day. So this is interesting. And this is why I kept telling you guys, keep tweeting, keep calling your representatives, keep making videos. That's why I've covered this a lot, guys. This Ripple lawsuit is not just about XRP, but the ability for the crypto industry to fight back the SEC until we get regulatory clarity. Yes, Congress can put an end to this nonsense right away, but we know government doesn't move, that fast, and they have to come together. We are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, of course, with Tom Emmer's group and the Gillibrand Lummis bill and so forth. But we know government moves slow as molasses, right? So at this point, we got to fight until the clarity comes. And that's why I keep telling you guys, your voices are being heard. You're drumming up noise, and it's important. Tweet out at your respective congressmen and senators and whoever it is. Tweet at Gary Gensler and the SEC. Now, obviously, you don't want to use foul language and things like that, but you deserve and you have the right to have your voice heard and to be able to petition and put out your grievances, right, guys? And you have this platform of social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, putting out content, flooding YouTube, whatever it may be, with highlighting, all these hypocrisies and conflicts of interest, guys. So keep up the great work, right? Our work is paying off here. And we saw what we did, guys. Remember what we did, I should say, last year with the infrastructure bill, right? And how Washington woke up to what was happening. Guess what? We keep hammering this SEC thing. People are going to start recognizing they are already, right? We'll get more members of Congress on board. Finally, Hester Peirce, who I'll be interviewing maybe in a month's time. Her schedule is pretty busy right now. And, we're going to talk about everything, the Bitcoin ETFs, regulations, and so forth. Well, she gave a speech recently, and she published it on the SEC's website. She said, everyone asks me when a spot Bitcoin ETP will be approved. Here's my answer. So, of course, she highlights that this should have been approved already. We know where she stands, and this was published yesterday, by the way. So shout out to Hester Peirce. She's like the lone pro-crypto person at the SEC. Elad Roisman was the other person, but he obviously left in January. So much respect, kudos to her. And once again, I'll be interviewing her pretty soon. So that's the news, my friends. Things not looking good for the SEC. I do believe Ripple is going to come out of this victorious. I do believe we will eventually get a Bitcoin spot ETF approved, and the market will get clarity. Until these things happen, we got to keep fighting. And public pressure and public exposing Gensler and the SEC in public forums like social media is important, guys. Because look, we know he's covering up the conflicts of interest and the hypocrisy with Bill Hinman. So, and who knows what else is going on, right? And he's trying to shake down these crypto companies for money. Just look what he did to BlockFi, $100 million. Please tell me where that money is going. It's pretty crazy what's happening, guys. And he wants to go grab as much money as he can from these companies, and that's going to hurt them, right? I think somebody highlighted that BlockFi had to lay off employees, but what if they had the $100 million they gave to the SEC? They probably wouldn't have to lay off people because of the bear market, because they would have still $100 million, right? How many salaries can you pay with $100 million, right, guys? So you see what's happening here. Anyway, let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button, share this video, and I'll talk to you all later.